I literally just recorded the intro and then I realised that it wasn't even recording. We love that. Hello all you lovely people, it is Nicole back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my first year university experience studying at the University of Bristol. So this is going to be my halls, my course, how I found everything, basically giving you guys the full lowdown, completely uncensored, of my first year experience. I know that before coming to university I enjoyed watching these kind of videos. It's nice to have like a little nosy, so whether you're actually planning or prepping to go to Bristol or you just want to have a little nose, stay tuned, get your popcorn, get your drinks. I've got my Pims and I'm going to be spilling the tea, giving you the lowdown of my first year experience at the University of Bristol. I have been studying at the University of Bristol now for 3 years. I am in my 3rd year, so I feel like I am well and truly qualified to speak about Bristol, to give my honest opinion for prospective students or for anyone just really interested. So to first start out, I'll give you a bit of context of when it actually came to applying. So I actually had my heart on Exeter. I planned to go to a campus uni. I just didn't like the prospect of having to learn a new city. I thought amongst other things that'd be quite overwhelming. So I was like, Bristol wasn't, it was in the back of my head, but it wasn't something that I thought I was actually going to end up applying to. And then I walked around Exeter, didn't really like it, didn't really click with the place. It feels quite, I don't know, quite cliche, but it's true. Like when you're at a university, you just have that feeling, you just know. And I got that with Bristol. So I went to the post offer day and I didn't actually get to look at anything course related. I just had a walk around with my dad. We had some food and I just kind of was like, this is where I want to study. This is where I see myself getting my degree. So I applied and I studied super hard because I got in, and I was I was kind of a little bit shocked, but as everyone really is, but I had been working hard and I had it in the back of my head that was sort of my aim, to sort of work super hard to get into Bristol. But I kind of doubted myself a little bit on the day. So on results day, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning because that is when the clearing options open. So I woke up at 6 and I was like, right, I want to go to Bristol no matter what. I had my heart set on going Bristol. So I was like, if I don't get in on my course, I'm going to get in another course. So I looked at the clearings options and there actually wasn't anything that I could even pass as sort of liking. So it'd sort of be a waste of time for me to even study it because it wasn't even related to anything I had previously studied. So I patiently waited and thankfully I got into Bristol. Shortly after finding out I got into Bristol, I did a big IKEA shop with my mum, and what's quite funny is we actually were just shopping with my mum, and then we actually bumped into another mum and daughter. My mum just made a passing comment about uni shopping, and the mum was like, oh, same with us, where's your daughter going? And my mum was like, oh yeah, my daughter's planning to go to Bristol, like she's going there soon. And she was like, oh my god, my daughter's going to Bristol. And then we actually became friends, so it was nice that I actually knew someone before freshers, and we like added each other on Facebook, which is quite nice. And then so I was all excited, and then shortly after I picked my accommodation. So Bristol accommodation, I will tell you my choices and the preference, etc., unless it's changed from when I applied, and I applied in 2017. So, but when I applied, you got 3 options: your first choice, your second preference, and your third. And then you could pick criteria. So you could say if you want ensuite, if you want self-catered, if you wanted to be in Stoke Bishop, which I'll talk more about later, or if you want to be in city centre. So when I had gone to the post offer day, everyone had said to me, go to Stoke Bishop, because that is essentially sort of like the fun hub. That's like where it's fun for first years. And I was kind of like, first year doesn't count. I kind of want to make the most, make as many friends as possible. So I was kind of like, okay, all right, Stoke Bishop. And then I got there and found it was Stokey B. That's what they called it. But yeah, it's Stoke Bishop. So I put Hired Baker self-catered as my first choice, which was sort of like a newly refurbished hall, and then Durham as my second choice, which is self-catered, and then I put Baydock catered as my third. All 3 of those residences are in Stoke Bishop, and my 2 criteria was I was self-catered and I was in Stoke Bishop. So that was the 2 kind of criteria that I wanted to. And then they made us do this sort of like little personal statement about ourselves, kind of like what you're like, what you're looking for in housemates, but it's never ever accurate, because some people get paired together in flats, and they're like, how did that even come about? So I don't think they pay too much mind to it, but I still filled it out nonetheless. Like I was writing my personal statement again, I was putting lots of effort. I was like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And yeah, so then I also found out that 2 of my good friends got into Bristol, not friends from my school, just friends that I know. And we actually requested to be together in the hall. So we put the same options down, and there's a box where you can like request, and I actually got put in the same halls as one of them. So I actually got my second choice, Durham, and I was a little bit disappointed about that because I hadn't heard the best things from Durham. But I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna go into it all completely open-minded. You know, it's a new experience. You know, stereotypes don't necessarily need to be true. You never know what's going to happen. And what's good about Stoke Bishop is the fact that there's 6 residences that are all there in that sort of like close proximity, so I could always go to other halls as well. So me and my friend from home, we got put in Durham, and shortly after all that happened, it became September and I was moving in. So before moving in, I was super excited. I didn't have an ounce of fear, worry. I was like, the world is my oyster. I've conquered A levels, smashed it, got into my first choice uni. I was just so excited to just make a name for myself, really delve into university experience. I was like, I'm studying something I love at a top 10 university. I was super excited. So I'm on the way to Bristol. I'm with my mum, my dad and my sister. And when I tell you I'm an overpacker, like there's people who say they're overpackers, but I am a just in case packer to the T. I brought my room times 2, so much so my parents had to bring 2 cars, and I just got so anxious about having to have everything there that we had 2 cars down. So my parents would take the mick out of me, because there was other people moving into their flat, and they had like 1 suitcase, like a teddy bear, a couple bags. We were bringing boxes and bags and boxes and bags. Bearing in mind my room wasn't that big, like it was a decent size. I'll see if I can find a video. It was a decent size, but it wasn't, you know, like it was a bit excessive. So like, as everyone says as advice, I would say do not pack a lot, because it's just not worth it. And especially if you're coming to and from home, it's just an absolute waste. So yeah, I had a lot of stuff, a lot of unpacking, but I made it work, and there was a lot of storage, so I could just sort of make it home, etc. So in my flat there was 6 of us there, and also we shared a kitchen. And we had an ensuite, so it's kind of ideal. I really wanted my own ensuite, because I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I was like, I don't really know anyone in my first year. While I'm getting to grips with everything, I'd rather have my own shower, just one less stress to sort of worry about. So yeah, and my flatmates, they did all different subjects. We had one girl leave, and then we had an Erasmus student who was there, and yeah, it was good. It was very different at first, just finding our feet. We didn't know none of us really sort of like expected what we were going to be like, what it was going to be like. As well as this, Durham was not our first choice. All of us wanted to be in High Baker, because we were told High Baker was the sort of like party, sort of like sociable flat, and people called Durham my hall's Dedham. So we kind of were like, that's not the best rep. But like, I remember saying to them, I was like, we're going to change it, like we're going to change it. We don't need to have these stereotypes. So as I'm moving into my flat, my mum is trying to help me. She's like, Nicole, let me help you do this. And I'm like, no, please just go in the kitchen, because I can feel myself starting to cry. and I'm literally starting to cry, and I'm like, okay, this is strange. I was not expecting this. I was so looking forward to going, to flying the nest, to leaving. And I was crying, and my parents were just in the kitchen of my new flat, and I was sitting in my room crying. I was like, what have I done? I was like, I'm 2-3 hours away from home, and I'm very close with my family. They're literally like my best friends. So I was kind of like, I don't know what I've done. I'm absolutely terrified. But they packed up their stuff, and then they left and went back to London, and I was just in pieces. I was so upset. I was like, where has this come from? I was very shocked because I was really looking forward to moving into university and to sort of like starting, really. So I was very shocked at how I was so emotional. Anyway, luckily Michael's actually planned a dinner for the first night, probably just because they were like, everyone's a bit overwhelmed, going to be tired from travelling and whatnot. So we went down to the sort of bar, and they gave us food, and I always remember this. They gave us garlic bread and mince. It was like garlic bread, mince and pasta, and I always remember because the garlic bread was significantly soggy. I don't know why I remember that, but that was one thing that I do remember. And I met some friends there, which I'm still friends with now, which is super nice. And I just remember I found it very, very overwhelming. So I haven't had to make friends for quite a while because I went to secondary school and then sixth form. So I've been there from year 7 to year 13. And I remember kind of sitting down with my plate of food, and most people were quite excitable and very, very keen to make friends and like, where are you from, what are you studying and whatnot. And I remember just sitting there and I was like, I feel very, very overwhelmed, and it was quite intense. It was lovely and it was exciting, but I really found it intense and quite overwhelming. And I kind of just put a brave face on. I ate my food, did a bit of socialising, and I went back to my room, had another cry, I'm not gonna lie. And I was like, wow, so I'm really here. I'm really away from home. And this is obviously the first time that I've ever been away from home, and I was feeling super, super, super overwhelmed. So it's in the evening now, and 2 of my flatmates, they knock on my door and they're like, Nicole, we're gonna go out and we're just gonna go spoons. Do you wanna come? And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, guys, you're gonna think I'm a bit of a wuss, but I'm super, super like emotional, and I'm already feeling homesick. And they were like, don't worry about it, so are we. But it ended up raining quite a lot, so we didn't actually go out. So that was the Saturday, I believe it was the Saturday that we moved in, and then Freshers started on the Monday. So before coming to university, I think a week before, I had bought these wristbands which gave us 3 events, so 3 club events for freshers, and it was the wristbands provided by the Students' Union, so I kind of like knew it was official. So with it, when it comes to those types of events and things, I would definitely recommend waiting. I know they sell out quite quickly, but I would recommend waiting to see like what your friends are doing, like what kind of wristband deals you can get, because sometimes reps will just scam freshers who are just keen to kind of like go on a night out basically. And yeah, so freshers involved quite a lot of introductory talks, which I wasn't aware of. I didn't know it was going to be like that. People were like, freshers is just going to be a party for a week, but there was a lot of introductory lectures which were very, very helpful, but I was kind of finding my feet, getting lost, using Google Maps all the time. And yeah, it was a challenge, to say the least. And it was kind of getting used to everyone who's very different, very different people from all over the world. I'm just used to my friends and our lingo and our banter, and it was very, very overwhelming getting used to like all these other people, and but exciting nonetheless. So there was Freshers Week, and Freshers Week was kind of like, there was 3 events, and they were sort of like very fresher saturated. Everyone was going, it was buzzing, like super, super exciting. But I found it very, very draining, very, very emotionally draining, in terms of getting up early for lectures and then sort of like having to navigate my way around town, as well as sorting out my course stuff, making sure my reading was done, preparing. I may sound like I'm being a drama queen, but at the time it was a lot, as well as finding the balance between speaking to my family, mingling, meeting friends, and yeah, it was long. Just had to get a drink because I have been talking a lot and my mouth was dry. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about my halls. So Durden was self-catered ensuite, and there was 6 to a kitchen, and there was about like 200 people, 250, something like that, so kind of like on the smaller side. And they had a bar, and the JCR put events. They'd like play football, they'd have like free pizza parties, which was quite fun. And Stoke Bishop, where my halls is situated, is a 20-minute bus ride from the city centre. So I'd have to get a 20-minute bus ride to and from uni, and it was fine because for first years they got a free bus pass, and when you actually apply to Bristol when you're a first year, you actually get a bus pass for the year, which is absolutely fantastic. I didn't realise until I got there. So I didn't have to worry about transport and stuff because it was all paid for with the bus. So I'd get the U1, which would literally take us from the centre right up to what's called the transport hub, which is in Stoke Bishop, and it's situated in between all the halls. So it wasn't too bad in terms of transport. Sometimes it would be hard, like I couldn't roll out of bed, and in the morning when I had a 9 a.m, everyone would be at the transport hub waiting to get on that bus. So I was late for a lot of my lectures, and sometimes it was just ridiculous. And the walk is about 40 minutes, but it's fine. I really enjoyed it, and I liked being around so many different halls with so many different people. So in city centre, the halls are kind of more spread out, whereas Stoke Bishop, it's all kind of very close together. You can sort of just pop to your friends in the different halls, and I really like that for sort of like pre's and like socials and stuff. We can literally just like get on the bus and then go into town together, like to all the clubs and stuff, so that was quite convenient. So I'll talk a little bit about my course now and how I found that. Sorry, this video is a very sort of candid, rambly video, but we're going with it. I'm trying to just remember all the key points that I think would be beneficial to point out about my first year experience. So with doing my course, my course was psychology. Well, my course is psychology and education, and I actually had done psychology for 2 years prior to coming to university, so I kind of had a good psychological grounding from an A-level stance. So I wasn't 100% more sure what I'd expect it to be like at uni level. However, for the first couple of weeks, a lot of the reading was stuff that I had done, so I felt very comfortable. I was very happy that it was kind of just going over the same thing. Sometimes I could get away with not doing the reading, which was quite nice because I could just do other things and whatnot, being a silly fresh. And it was quite good, and it was intense at times. For example, we had post and pre-reading, and then we'd have an exam on the pre-reading to make sure we actually did do the reading. But you just gotta make it work. There'll be times where I'd be like doing my makeup whilst and getting ready to go out while doing the pre-reading. I was on it. I was like, work hard, play hard. My mentality in first term, so the terms at Bristol are split up between, they're called Teaching Block 1, also known as TB2, and Teaching Block 2. And TB1, Teaching Block 1, is from September to December, and then you have the Christmas break, and then you come back, and then Teaching Block 2 is January to May. To May. So it's kind of like split in 2 halves. So the first teaching block, I was super like, right, I'm at uni now, I'm at a Russell group, I'm at Bristol. I was keen, I was doing all my pre-reading, all my notes, and now I look back, I was like, I could have relaxed just a little bit more because it's first year. Like, obviously you need to pass, you need to get 40%, but I could have chilled myself out a little bit. I was super on it. I was like, right, I need to do this, I need to do that. But then again, on the other hand, I did make a lot of silly mistakes. For example, I handed one of my first essays in with no referencing. If you're a university student and you know about referencing, that's plagiarism. I didn't know that was a thing. So being a silly fresh, I handed in this essay, my first essay, I got probably like 43, like my worst essay ever. I basically didn't, I could have failed it, but she was like, it's so well written, but I can tell you missed your references. That is why I can only basically cap you at 40 because like that's plagiarism. And I never did that. I literally never did that after that. But I had no idea. I just handed it in like, right, I didn't know about the whole referencing, all that stuff. But that is what first year's for. First year's for those teething problems, for sort of like finding things that you didn't know existed, basically. And referencing and bibliography and all of that was one of the many things for me. So So my first year kind of was different in the sense that I actually ended up getting into a relationship. So this was my first boyfriend, and we got together November, so very, very early on, and it did definitely change and make my first year experience very, very different in comparison to a lot of people. Don't regret it at all, and it just was kind of like what happened at the time. A lot of people were mainly my family were quite shocked, to say the least. They were like, how have you got a boyfriend? You haven't known him long enough. But he was in my halls and we were literally together every day, and it was very intense, and things were sped up, and you know, it felt right. And when being in a relationship with him, and because it was fresh and it was new, I spent all my time with him. So I didn't I did go out, but I didn't go out as much as, because we just wanted to spend time together, so I didn't really go out that much in that sense. I did go out, I would go out for people's birthdays, I'd go out to socials and whatnot, but that did really shape my experience in terms of, we did a lot of coupley Christmas stuff. So like Christmas time, we went to Bath and went to the outdoor ice skating rinks, which was really, really lovely. We I'm not going to go into our relationship, but it was very coupley orientated a lot of the time. So one advice I would say is, if you do want to get into a relationship, don't do it in first year. I'm not saying to cut off your relationship when you get into first year, but don't get into a relationship in first year if you can avoid it, because first year is your chance to really make your name. And I was known as his girlfriend, so people would be like, oh, that's so-and-so's girlfriend, instead of Nicole. And then it took like a while, until like end of second year, for me to actually be like, oh, that's just Nicole, not so-and-so's girlfriend. So it's like one of those things that you kind of, it's something to bear in mind. I know you don't plan these things, but yeah, it definitely does make a huge difference of your university experience. So but saying that, I still got to experience quite a lot of different stuff. I actually joined cheer, so I am going to do a separate video about cheer and societies at university if people are interested. But I did cheer at university as part of my sports, and I actually only did cheer because it took up so much of my time. So I got into the competitive squad, so I was training 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes 5, up to comp. It was almost every day, so I literally did not have time to do another society. That's where my time was, cheer, or even with my boyfriend, or at uni. So it was very sort of a lot to have on my timetable. So I can talk about that in another video and go into like more detail about societies and stuff, so let me know. Right, so wrapping up TV1, teaching block 1, because I do not want to waffle, comes up to Christmas. I'm coming home for Christmas. So with regarding coming home in first year, I came home once in October for my mum and my sister's birthday. I actually surprised my sister, and she didn't know I was coming home, which was really lovely. And that was it, I believe. And then I came home Christmas, and then I came back to uni in January for January exams. Now, my course had 2 exams in January, because Bristol was exam period, minus some exceptions from other courses, but the like generic exam period is exams in, you have the January exam period, the Christmas exam period, and then you have the summer exam period. So I had 2 exams in the January period, and I'd been revising for them. I was super nervous because I was like, this is uni, I'm at Bristol, I don't want to fail. And you know, I was quite worried, I was quite intimidated. I was like, there's a lot of smart people here, I want to prove myself even more. It's one thing getting in, but it's kind of like staying in and making your way to second year. So where they have a lot of the exams is the sports complex, which is called Coombe Dingle, and it's about a 25-minute walk down the road from Stoke Bishop. So it's about 40 minutes away from the actual town centre, so it's quite far, and it's kind of like in the middle of a residential area. And the buses are very, very unpredictable. So you could get a bus there, but it's very, very unpredictable. And my exam was at 9. So I was like, I don't want to be wasting my time or sort of like I don't want to risk, you know, being late for my exam. So I'm walking to Coombe Dingle. It's probably about 8 o'clock. I'm like, I want to be super, super early. I couldn't remember my seat number and I couldn't find the email. I was still sort of getting into grips with all the emails and everything like that. And I got to Cwmdingle. Now the Cwmdingle was the sports complex where they have a lot of training, a lot of matches and stuff. It's absolutely huge, and they have a lot of the exams in the hall. So I went to the invigilation and I was like, oh, I'm doing this exam. I was like, what's my seat number, etc. And they were like, oh, one sec, we can't find you. I'm like, okay, fine, cool. Time is ticking. But in mind, I was like, I think 40 minutes early, but you know, time's ticking. I want to get comfortable on my seat. So they're like, one sec, let me just... So I'm standing there. Bearing in mind, I've now walked to the front of the whole room. There's hundreds, because there's different exams. It's not just my exam, there's hundreds. I'm at the front and he's like, one sec. Oh, okay. Okay. And then they were like, you're not here. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, your exam's not here. It's Woodland Road, which is 40 minutes away from where I am. They were like, he was like, the invigilator person was like, you need to get to Woodland Road. If you don't get there before 9, go to your school building. Obviously, I'm not going to get there because the buses come every 20 minutes and it's 40 minutes away. So I start panicking and going. I'm already stressed because obviously it's an exam, my first exam. I'm like, right. I later find out, because I have extra time, my exam, I had alternative exam arrangements that they failed to tell me. So I, as fast as I can, go to the city centre. Obviously don't make it to Woodland Road, so I go to my head of school. I've had like a panic attack, I've been crying on the way there, get there, and I explain what's happened, and she was like, oh, you seem awfully calm for someone who's just missed their exam. I was like, I've literally been crying. I don't want to come to you like some like emotional teenager crying, you know, I've done my tears. I was like, what can we do now? And she's like, well, school policy is you can't sit the exam past the time it started now. And so it's probably like 9:30 at this point. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And I literally was thinking in my head, like, I'm getting kicked out of uni. I was like, this is it. Like, I've ruined it. Like, I'm kicked out of uni. I was absolutely terrified because obviously at the time I didn't know. I thought it was super, super severe. I was absolutely terrified. Anyway, she was like, well, what you'll have to do is you'll have to sit the exam in summer and it'll be capped at 40%. So I wasn't told about my exam arrangements, and because of that I'm penalised, and my exam is going to be capped at 40 and I have to come back in summer to sit an exam in August. And she was like, yeah, we're really sorry, but like it's first year, don't worry about it. I was not impressed. That was just not a good time. So I didn't sit the exam, which was very frustrating. But the good thing about that is when I had my next exam, they were like messaging me, emailing like, Nicole, just to confirm you know where your exam arrangement's going to be, email me when you know. Like, they were super on it, which was good. But it was very annoying that they were so blasé about the fact that I was coming back in summer and it's going to be capped at 40, which was nice, even though it wasn't my fault. So that was very, very frustrating. But yeah, it was fine. So as time goes on, we're now in teaching block 2. I really did start to kind of struggle in terms of I just didn't know what was going on, really. I was very bewildered. I was still getting lost. I was walking around like this with like Google Maps, still trying to find places. I was late to my lectures. I was very, very confused about everything, really, like, to say the least. And I guess I was well and truly finding my feet. That is why they stress that first year does not count, because of, I'm a prime example as to why it should not count. And just in terms of even like writing essays, writing notes and things like that, I felt really out of my depth, but I did enjoy being there and the learning and the quality of teaching. Yeah, the quality of teaching is up to scratch. Like, it's superb and you can't fault it. And I absolutely loved it, and I really felt like I was in capable hands of people who knew what they were doing, which was really good. And so come round towards, we're getting to summer now, so it's like the May period. So I have no exams in the May period, which is really good. I have my resit where they messed up, but that's later on. But it's May. I'm super excited because there's loads of festivals, loads of end of school balls. I'm super excited. I had cheer comp in March, and we were national champions. We won 3 out of 3 of our competitions, which was fantastic, and so that was good. I was buzzing from that, and it was just quite chill. I had summer in Bristol, which was really, really lovely. So there was lots of festivals, so much to do. There was a food festival, music festival, just so much stuff to do. It was great fun, and yeah, it was just really, really good time. So that is all for my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was informative, and please feel free to comment any video requests, anything you'd like to know specifically about the university, my course, literally anything. I'm definitely doing more university related videos, so yeah, comment down any suggestions, and like, and don't forget to subscribe as well, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.